Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, and we are pleased to be joined by a very familiar face that will be returning to racing for the first time in years, of course. That's Mike Massaro. Of course, you may know him from his days at ESPN and NBC. He works for an NBC station, but that's also NBC Connecticut station out in the great state of Connecticut, the local station out there. But of course, he'll be back on pit road, but in a kind of a new role with MAVTV as the pit reporter for their ARCA coverage, along with Krista Kelly, now Chris Devoto up in the booth, and then also Jim Cherry as well for MAVTV and Lucas Oil Productions covering the ARCA series. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm excited. To be back at a racetrack is something that I've looked forward to for a very, very long time. So I'm actually in the midst of getting ready to go to Phoenix right now. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, you gotta believe I believe your flight's in a few hours. So
it is.
Do this. Okay, so for people that don't know, what have you been up to the past few years?
Well, I've kind of reinvented myself a little bit. As you alluded to, I've been on television, but doing news, not really doing sports, although occasionally I do. I've been working for NBC Connecticut, which is the news affiliate in the Hartford area of Connecticut, covering everything. A lot of, tragedies, unfortunately, a lot of crime. Recently we've been covering the Ukraine situation and how some refugees have migrated here to Connecticut. I did a sit down with a woman yesterday who arrived here in Connecticut after fleeing Ukraine with her two young children, 3 and 5 years old, leaving her husband behind, who was required by Ukraine to fight. So just a heartbreaking story, but that's the type of things I've been covering as a news reporter. I've also been anchoring the morning news on weekends. So quite a variety, a departure from what I had done previously in racing. But I'm getting back to it this week in Phoenix. And I'll tell you what, I'm thrilled, a little nervous. I'm going to be completely honest because I'm rusty. I haven't done it in 5 years. And there's, a lot of work that needs to be done to prepare for these races. And I feel like, at one point in my career, I could walk into the garage and know just about everyone and, find out my notes and be ready to go on air. In this situation, it feels like I'm starting over. So a little bit nervous.
When did you first get approached to do this?
A few months ago. I want to say it was before Christmas. Bob Dillner, who was the play-by-play voice for MAVTV on the ARCA Menards Series last year, he's taken a different role with the organization, as an executive, and he asked me to be part of it. And it didn't take me long to say yes. It's going to be able to give me something that I've missed for so long. And I'm very thankful that Bob called and that MAVTV's offered this opportunity.
Did you ever think you'd get back to doing this?
Well, I did. When I first got out, that was still the goal. My hope was to stay in it. Unfortunately, there weren't any roles for me to take at that time. So after about a year or two of looking, I kind of gave up and I'd moved on. And, I had to, find a way to still support my family. Television is what I know. It's where I have my experience. I had not had experience doing hard news like this. So that was a transition, quite a bit of an adjustment. And it was difficult. It was really, really hard, to be honest, for that first year, just trying to adapt to the subject matter, adapt to the whole daily routine. It's still a challenge, to be honest. But yeah, when this opportunity to get back to racing was presented to me, I was surprised, to be honest, and excited at the same time. Looking forward to it. I'm going to balance both. I'm going to continue with NBC Connecticut as a news reporter. I'm very thankful that my bosses over there have, appreciated my passion for the sport and understand that this is something that I really wanted to do. And they've given me the opportunity to do it. So they didn't have to, and they did. So I'm thankful.
Yeah, for sure. It's so how much have you talked with teams and how much have you learned about this series? Because this is a new group of drivers that most of the drivers that are in this series are kids.
Yeah, so some of these drivers weren't even in middle school when I left NBC Sports. So, there's some young drivers that That's honestly what I'm excited about. So not just getting back to the sport and seeing a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time, but the fact that the ARCA series is filled with young drivers who could one day be the face of the sport. Who knows? A lot of drivers, as we've seen over the last few years, have migrated from ARCA into the higher levels of NASCAR. I mean, the reigning Daytona 500 champ, came from this series, Austin Cindric. So there's a number of drivers who have come from this series that are, moving on to the higher levels. And I think the big time Cup Series teams are really recognizing the ARCA series as a true developmental series. And, some of them are investing in this series. They're developing drivers here. And, I think it's just really exciting to meet these young drivers, men and women, as they kind of climb that ladder and become perhaps the next big star. So I'm looking forward to meeting them. I haven't, that's the other thing. I haven't met a lot of them. I've done a couple of Zoom calls just like this, leading into the weekend to get to know them. And honestly, just to, so they knew who I was. So I wasn't a stranger walking into their pit stall or walking into their transporter. So yeah, there's going to be some ramping up for sure. I mean, when I was covering the Cup Series, I knew a lot of people, and in this series, I still have a long way to go. So relationship building will be a big part of the weekend.
So who have you kind of talked with so far? Who has impressed you? Just to give me a couple of guys that have impressed you so far.
Talked with Raja Karuth,
Yeah.
which we had a great conversation. What a great kid. And, I call him a kid because I'm 51 years old and he's half my age, but very impressed. Talked with Nick Sanchez as well, and a few of the drivers with Venturini Racing, who obviously is going to be a big organization in the series, always has been and will continue to be. So I tried to ramp up through Zoom as much as I could. There wasn't a lot of time, but most of the handshakes and the greetings and the introductions are going to happen this weekend.
Nice. Yeah, it's I'm like Nick Sanchez, Raja Karuth, someone I've talked to them so many times, and it's like Raja talks to you like he's your best friend. So
yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to know him. I mean, he seems like super cool, and he's going to have a lot of personality. He's going to bring a lot to the sport.
It feels like you've known him for like 10 years, the way he talks to you. So
yeah, good guy. He did make me feel old. He said when he was a kid, he watched me on TV, so it made me feel old.
Yeah, fun stuff there. Really kind of talk about.
Did you hear my dog, by the way? That was Holly. She just wants to say hello. See somebody walking by.
Fun stuff there. Always love when pets get Zoom calls.
It's the era we live in right now with Zoom.
Yeah.
Come here, Holly. Come here. I'm going to stop her just for 1 minute so that it's not interrupting the podcast. But Holly, come here. No, she doesn't want to come here. Anyways, we'll chat.
It makes sense. So going into this, of course, you're working with Krista again, who you worked with at NBC. When you were both at NBC, and of course now she's kind of reinventing herself as well. What's it like to be back with you two working together?
I'm excited about that. Krista, I've worked with a lot of great people, and I'm very thankful for that. Krista was as good as anyone I've worked with. She is so polished. She does all of her homework. The way that she presents stories is just so compelling and engaging. I can't wait to work with her. I mean, I think she's going to be terrific in the booth. She's going to be a great play-by-play person because she's not only going to describe what's on the racetrack, but she's going to filter in stories, things she's found out in the garage. And she's just an amazing storyteller. So I think people are going to appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it because she's also a friend. And so the time we'll have away from the racetrack, it's going to be very pleasant as well. So it's not just a working relationship. She and I have known each other for a very long time. Going back, I would say in my early ESPN days when we first met. So it's going to be, like family again. So I'm looking forward to that.
And you've known Jim Trado for a long time as well.
Oh, of course. And he's going to be a huge asset to me and Krista, because for Krista and I, we've not only been away from the sport a little while, but, ARCA wasn't the series that we covered every week. It wasn't the series that we were just completely enveloped in. For Jim has a wealth of knowledge in the ARCA series that Krista and I are both going to lean on him for, as we go through this, and just procedural things, backstories with teams, things like that, that Jim learned, a decade ago. We're going to learn from him as we go.
Yeah, of course. Jim doesn't also do these MAVTV races. He's also a pit spotter for when the ARCA series is on Fox, helping out their team as well. So
yeah, he's a racer. He's a racer through and through.
Of course, yeah. When you're from Wisconsin, you kind of have to be. But going into, and of course, you're going to go to some great tracks coming up here. But there are going to be some tracks that you are familiar with. But then there's going to be some tracks where you have never been to.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know which airport to fly into for some of them. So, that's also something that I'm really curious about. A lot of these smaller tracks in the Midwest that I've never been to. Certainly I've been to Phoenix and Michigan several times, but there's so many smaller tracks where the ARCA series is going to be racing that I've heard about but have never been to. So yeah, Casey, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
What most exciting? I mean, there's a couple of tracks that I'll probably hit you up at a lot of races.
Well, which ones? Which ones are you gonna hit me up at?
Toledo, of course. I'm from Michigan, so I gotta come down to Toledo. Obviously I have good friends at ARCA, so I love going there. Might go to Berlin too. That's on the west side of the state. Of course, ran by, of course, a very familiar face, Jeff Striegel from MRN.
I was just going to mention that. I've heard so much about Berlin from Jeff Striegel over the years. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's it. So that's his race. Of course, and some other track. Iowa's going to be a fun one. And then
I've been to Iowa, and I love Iowa. Iowa, there's always good racing at Iowa. So I'm looking forward to that. It's also a cool little area. Krista, by the way, is from Iowa. So originally, so that's kind of a home race for her. So I'm looking forward to maybe her showing us around a little bit. So I'm not from Iowa. I've only been there for a couple of races, but looking forward to it. Now, Toledo, I've been to Toledo one time, and that was going back, oh gosh, almost 20 years, I would say. Roush, it was then just Roush Racing. It wasn't Roush Keselowski or Roush Fenway or any of that. It was just Roush Racing. At the time, they had what they called the Gong Show.
Oh, the Gong Show.
And they had almost like auditions, driver auditions, and one of them was at Toledo Speedway. So that's the only time I've ever been there. I went for the Gong Show to do a feature on what they were doing, and that's the only time I've been there. So I've never seen some actual racing there. So this will be the first time.
It'll be some fun stuff, and it's the championship race too. So, and it's the birthplace of ARCA. One of my favorite tracks to go to. It's going to be a fun one too. The championship. You got Elko. You got 2 dirt tracks on the schedule. Milwaukee Mile. So yeah, it's going to be you're going to have a fun. You're going to have a bit of a journey. It's going to be a lot of time between Phoenix and Iowa for you, but yeah,
that's okay. That's okay, because I think there's a lot of stuff I don't know right now. Like, I don't know what I don't know. You've heard that phrase before.
Yeah.
And I think going to Phoenix, I'm going to find out what I don't know. And by having some weeks off between races, I'll be able to digest that and apply what I learned. Because I'm sure there's going to be things that I didn't expect that now I'll be able to expect and I'll be able to plan for. And I think those couple of weeks will help me with that. And especially when we talk about the relationship building, I'll meet some people, but I won't meet everyone. So this will give me a little bit of time to kind of reach out to the people I didn't get a chance to say hello to and really get to know.
All right. Well, Mike Massaro, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us. And have fun on Friday. Of course, you can catch the action on MAVTV at 8:30. Of course, you can also catch it on Flow Racing if you don't get MAVTV on your providers. So fun stuff there. Mike will be on pit road. Crystal will be in the booth, and Jim as well. So good to see you back in the sport. And welcome back to racing, bud.
Well, Casey, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But as you mentioned, I got to get to the airport. I don't even remember where that was. I got to figure it out.
Yeah, you'll find it.